Thanks for joining me. This video is going to be on emails. Now there are going to be three main areas I want to show you where we're going to send emails out through the WineDirect platform. However, there are actually about 6 or 7 areas that we actually have other ways that we can send emails to our customers, but for the most part, these main 3 to 4 are going to be the ones that you're going to want to use. Now, each of these have their own pros and cons, if you will, and might be used in different situations, but it's totally up to you. But I want to make sure that I give you all the functionality and differences so that you can use them in the right setting. The first one we're going to talk about is Send Mass Email. Now, this is under the Contacts tab and under Email Documents. This used to be off to the side. It used to be its own tab, but it has since been added to the Email Documents section. And the Send Email right here actually is Send Mass Email. And so you'll notice that if I click on the Send Email, it's going to ask me what's the email category that I'm looking for, what's the document that I want to send out, and then whom am I going to send this to. But what you'll also notice is that the system's not overly redundant. So if I wanted to take this email, go, okay, everything looks good about this, then I'm going to go ahead and send this out. Well, when I click on Send Email, it already knows the category and the document, so it's not going to ask you for those. It's going to just say, where do you want this sent to? And so this is where I mentioned before in the Contact Type and List Builder video about being able to select a list, contact type, or a list, and this is going to show up here. Also, if you haven't seen that video, definitely see it, but the upshot here is if your contact types are just out of control, clean those up. If your lists are out of control, you want to try and minimize those, because this list is going to be really long and you're going to be scrolling through this for days trying to figure out what you're looking for. So it has many aspects of why you want to keep all those nice and tidy and clean, but this is just yet another one of those. So in this email tool, so we'll go back here, Email Documents, I have all my documents, and I'm going to use the Send Mass Email tool. When we go to Send Club Email, you're going to see that this looks exactly the same as the Send Club Email tool. There's one big difference between both of these, even though they look exactly alike. The tool looks exactly alike, but the functionality is different. The thing here is that Send Mass Email will abide by somebody having an unsubscribed status. This is where you want to send all of your marketing, all of your newsletters, etc. This is your marketing platform, Send Mass Email. Therefore, you're sending it out to everyone. Therefore, if they are unsubscribed, then they're not going to get it, per spam laws. But if you use Send Club Email, that one doesn't care if somebody's an unsubscribe, because it's basically between you and the club member and what they need to know for that contract between you and them about the club and all the details thereof. So when you're using Send Club Email, try to make sure that it is just information about club, not club events. That's Send Mass Email, but club. We're going to charge your card. Don't forget to make your changes to the user choice, etc., etc. The club is going to be changing. We have new details. We're changing months, whatever it is. That has to do with the contract between the two of you. You're safe there. If it's an event or just a mass sending, again, Send Mass Email. So we'll see here that we have the category that we can choose our document, and then the list that we're going to send it to, or the contact type. Ideally, I recommend doing a list. It keeps things nice and clean and tidy, although a good one is test. And this is very, very important. Then you get to send to a large group of people all at once because they're already under that contact type or that list. You do see that you have send to individual email address instead. That's fine. You could do that. Chances are you're going to send it to yourself to proofread and all that stuff. If you want to do that and just look at the structure and all that, that's fine. But what's going to happen is that when you send it through just the individual email, that you are not going to get the auto-populating tags to fill. And so some people will put it through there and go, oh my God, it's not working. Well, no, it is working. It's just if you do the individual email, then it's not going to put those through. So ideally, the best thing to do is really just kind of do a test or whatever your name is or whatever, so that you're the only one on that, or one of just 2 or 3 people that are all going to proofread these emails. Always get a second set of eyes just for double checking, just for typos and all that kind of stuff. Just really helps. So we've picked all that. We're going to pick our group. That way, anything we put through here, even if it's just sending to us, the auto-populating tags will fire or get filled, and then you get to see it in all its glory and make sure that it looks the way you want it to. So in that case, when we go ahead and we choose an email, we are going to choose where we want this to go, the group that we want to send this to, and then we're going to hit next. When we hit next, it goes into a preview screen. This is where I usually like to tell people to make sure that if they're going to use a list or even a contact, either way, pull that first. Generate the list first, just to give you an idea of how many people this is going to go to, because it's really just a double check for when you go to send it through here. If this number doesn't look right, then you can go, wait, hold on a second. What's wrong? What did I do? Did I choose something wrong? Did I pick the wrong whatever? That way, it gives you a little more peace of mind that you're going where you need to. I love the fact that there's a review screen. It doesn't just send it off. At least you have this idea. Plus, you also see that the bounces and the unsubscribes are here as well. If all is good, go ahead and hit send now. All right. So now if we go to store and then we go to clubs and we go down to send club email, well, there you go. This tool, it looks exactly the same. It is exactly the same as the send mass email, but the big difference here is that it's not going to care that you're sending it to somebody with an unsubscribed status. Look at that. No bounces, no unsubscribes. So it's going to just not worry about those. It's going to try and send it to them anyways. Okay? Now, those are the 2 main ways of going in and sending off your emails, sending out some newsletters, etc. And then keep in mind you're going to have few populating tags with the club emails through that area, but then also with the send mass email and what you can put through and how much information you can give your customer. So one way that I'm really fond of sending an email to a customer, especially when you're getting into your club run, we talk about this in the wine club training as well, is going to store and then actually going into club processing. What we're going to do here is once we put our package together, the setup and all that, we get to the club members tab. And actually, even before we bring in everybody into the club members tab, you would select a club member to add, which would be yourself. So keep in mind that if you are working with the club, I like to throw a little trick question out there, which I tell everybody it's a trick question. Which clubs should you be a part of? The answer is all of them. And the whole point here is that if you are working with the clubs or you're going to be working with any of the lists, etc., and you're going to be sending out to those, you need to test them on yourself. So therefore, you need to be in every club so that when you come into the batch and you want to send this email out to your customers, well, you want to send it to yourself first. So if you click on Select Customer to Add, you select yourself. You're the only one in this batch. You can go up here to Email. Bring that down. And then what I'm going to do is Club Emails. I'm going to pick my email. And I'm going to say all active club members, exclude anybody that skipped because they don't need to know anyways. And then when I go send the email, it's going to say one recipient, which is what I want, which should happen because I'm the only one that's active in there. Then I can go ahead and send that, make sure it looks good, make sure that all the information is coming through correctly, and then I can go ahead and bring everybody else in and then send it off to them. But what is it about this little email tool that's going to be so much different than the other two? Glad you asked. So for that, let's go over here to your name, hover over your name, come down to documentation. I'm going to bring you here. What I want you to type in is auto data. This is going to bring you to the page that has all the auto-populating tags you can use in the system. This is a great reference page to have bookmarked. So what you're going to find here is that you have certain ones you can use in any of the emails. Copy and paste them if you want, if you don't remember them. Also, keep in mind that if they're not working, if they're not populating in your emails when you're testing them out, first, make sure you're not sending it to individual email address. Second, double check the spelling and the sizing of the various characters, because that can make a difference. If you have to, just drag, copy and paste. Then we have system emails. So there are certain ones that can only be used in system emails. But the one I really like, the section I really love, is the club processing auto-populating tags. And it's specifically for this section down here. Now, if you're sending an email through Send Club email, then yes, you could say, hello so-and-so, and in such and such a club, please log in and make your changes, or keep in mind, we're going to be charging your card coming up on such and such a date. Well, they might just kind of gloss over that. But if you send to them that, hey, so-and-so in this club, we're going to be charging your card ending in these 4 digits, and we're going to ship it to this address, which if it's a pickup, it'll say pick up at such and such. And oh, by the way, the default order is at the bottom. Please log in to make any changes or whatnot, or please let us know, etc. Then you have a call to action. Then there's a way for them to kind of stop and go, oh, wait a minute, what's all this information? Oh, okay. Instead of just going, yeah, I'll get to it later, and then totally forget. So personally, from what I've seen, from what I've taught with all of this, this gets a much better response because there's more call to action than just putting through an email. So definitely recommend using those tags. And again, by putting that together, you go to the club members tab, go up here to the email, and you can always skip all the other ones that you don't need to. The other thing though, and this as I mentioned in another video, is that when you're done with processing, go through process and all that, you're already still in the batch. Come back over to the club members. You don't have to go anywhere else. I believe I mentioned this in the list builder video. You're already in here. Come back up to email, and oh, by the way, now instead of doing a pre-shipment email, I can go ahead and do all the declines. So now I can pull up all the decline people, exclude all those out. They don't need to know anyways. And then I can send them the email. So right then and there, and I can definitely tell you I get better response doing it this way because I'm in the club processing, which means I get to use the credit card info, which means I get to tell them which card actually declined. Again, call to action. You're already here. You don't have to go out, and you don't have to try and do it later. Sounds like a little bit more work if you had, 10 clubs or something, but it really isn't. You're already right here double checking to see what's going on anyways. So keep that in mind. Another place that we can email our customers, and this is also what I did in another video, is your will calls. So we could go in here and we can go, okay, I want submitted or completed. I want payment is paid and shipping is not picked up. And if I need to, I could do from a certain date range. But in this case, once I go ahead and search, these are all paid orders. Now you will want to go through and make sure that some of them don't say refunded, in which case you might have to change up a little bit of their information. But the main point here is that double check those refunds to make sure they just weren't you forgot to give them a discount or something like that, and it was just a partial refund. But in this case, what I can do is I can click the little box up here, or I can click them individually as well, and then this little actions box opens. And keep in mind that this is for a whole page. You'll see it says 100 selected. So if you have multiple pages, you can just go to page 2 and then hit this box up here. If that's for that whole page, there's no overlap. So you don't have to worry about emailing the same customer twice. But this one's really nice because we can now email our customers. Well, what if I wanted to let them know that, hey, you need to pick up your stuff. So your wine club is ready to pick up. So now you're going to see that I have 100 people plus these 5. If I send them the email, then it's going to go ahead and send that out to them. And in this case, you have all these people right here. You have access to that email and all those people, boom, there you go. Now we do have other areas that you can email customers, just doesn't work as well or is not as intuitive. But another one of those areas would be here under contacts and then under this actions button, send email to the contacts. You could definitely do that if you wanted to, but there are other better areas to do that. Now let's talk about emails for a second. So we can send them out. We know how to send them out. But what are some of the basics of putting this email together so I know what I'm going to be sending out? So over here on the right-hand side, as with most things in the system, big green button, click Add Document. Now, ideally, if you haven't done this or if you've changed this, one of the best things to do, at least if you're starting off, is to keep the template simple to something like default email or maybe even blank template or a blank email. Ideally, what we want to do here is just kind of keep it simple. And the templates that you'll find, which are actually under settings, and if you stick with the default, it gives you a header and it gives you a footer. And then basically the email that you're going to be putting together is sandwiched between the two. Just kind of keep it sweet and simple at the beginning, because if you need to do any other templates or you want to really get in and make it more customized, you're definitely going to need somebody with CSS or HTML knowledge to be able to go into that code and make it the way you want. So in this case, keep in mind that the email name here is internal So this is just for you, okay? Internal email name, that's just for you. From whoever you want this to be, whatever the name is, the friendly name. So if you remember in the past, this was the friendly name. And now then the from email is whomever that you're sending it from. The subject line, on the other hand, is the one that is going to be the one that the customers are going to see. So this is where it is very important for you to, well, quite frankly, clickbait in some fashion for them to open up the email so that they get to see the information that you've put in there, which is a call to action. So this part's on you, and then the other part I was able to show you so that you get a little more call to action and a little more response based on the information that's in there. Another little kind of, well, this is kind of a psychological trick, but something like processing your card, something subject line, which they're only going to see part of it, processing your card, on such and such a date. But again, it's kind of clickbait where you go, oh my God, you're processing my card. And then they open it up and go, oh, okay, it's coming up, or something along those lines. Especially if you're using user choice, it's just, you really got to get them to open those and really got to get them to, just make their choices. They got to make their choices, because as soon as you charge that card, we all know, I know you know, as soon as you charge that card, it is really hard to make any changes. Pickups, not so bad. Shipping, really difficult. And you might have to refund an order and do it over again. Again, if it was a pickup, though, you've got POS exchanges, so you're pretty good to go there. But again, it's all about getting them to open that email so that all those points of call to action can actually do their job. And then don't forget that you always want to put in the category, and you can always add a new one if you need to. This is great. I got this from a client a long time ago, and I thought that was amazing. A lot of people have so many emails in their email section, email document section, and so sometimes it's really hard to find what you're looking for. Also, when you go in here and you're going to go, okay, I'm going to send an email, I'm going to pick a category and I'm going to pick this. Well, if you've got 100 emails in here, it's going to be really hard to see and to find what you're looking for. So keep this section shorter. And by doing that, what I thought was amazing was that they just named it ZZ Old Emails or something along those lines. And then they would just put all those older emails into that category. And it was just like a little holding folder. They didn't want to delete the emails, but they wanted to have them on hand just in case so they could go back later on. I thought it was brilliant. So I like telling people. And that way it just really helps clean it up and making sure that you're not going to get too many areas that are just so cluttered, and it really slows you down when you're trying to find the email that you want to send out. So keep that in mind. And then when we get into an email, and there you go. So we have the header here. Your stuff goes here in this whole box from here to here, or however big you're going to make it. And then this is the footer that's also in the template. Now keep in mind, any of the emails that you're going to be putting together, when you have this header image, this is going to be in the template, but if you change it in the template, it's not going to change here. You will have to change any of the emails that are already using a specific template. You'll have to change the header here to match, but any of the new emails you make off that template with the new logo or whatnot will have that new one there. However, with the footer information, because this is all CSS, this is all code, if you change any of this information in the template, it will update immediately and for every email that is using that template. So just kind of keep that in mind. Now the other thing here is that you have this tool. Now this is what we call, or I had a coworker finally call this the WYSIWYG. What you see is what you get. And some people hate this, and some people think it's just fine. The people that hate it are basically the ones that are kind of stuck using the limited functionality here. The ones that don't mind this at all are the ones that are pretty much doing everything outside, like using MailChimp, or I can actually use coding or something like that. And then they're going to click on the source button, which opens up all the coding and pasting in their own code or what they're pulling from MailChimp or whatever. And then everything looks fine, and you can even do some additional aspects like padding cells, etc., putting in images, putting in hyperlinks, and then it works just fine. Again, it just depends on your comfort with it. It depends on how familiar you are with it, and then it also has to do with your comfort outside of this and bringing other elements in. You also have the fact that you can duplicate emails, which is great. So if you're sending one out from last year and you basically have the same information, go ahead and duplicate it. Or if you want to tweak something, see how it looks a different way, but you don't want to destroy the original one, go ahead and duplicate it. It's going to go ahead and put a copy in the name. So you're just going to want to take it out of there, and you should be good to go. The other thing, though, is I've seen people try and do this. The system emails, even though you can duplicate those, on the back end, there's a keyword that is tied to these based on whatever the system email is and how it's being triggered or it fires in the system. That is not going to get duplicated over. So if you duplicate a system email, say order confirmation, that doesn't mean that every time that somebody gets an order, they're going to get 2 emails. They're not, because that duplicate is not going to do anything. It's just, that doesn't have the keyword. That doesn't copy over. In general, though, I would not copy over the system emails. There's really no point. I've actually seen people get into kind of trouble with that because they will maybe duplicate it and then they change the name and they change too much of the structure of the original core point of the system email, and then it's gotten them into trouble because later on they made it too specific for a shipment, and then later on, maybe somebody leaves and then people are getting these weird emails going, why did I get this? This has nothing to do with right now, etc. So try and leave the system emails alone except for changing the verbiage. Because yes, the verbiage there is really just a recommendation. It's not like you have to use this. So by all means, go in and make it your own verbiage, but keep it true to whatever the system email is. All right. So thank you very much for your time. I hope that helps you out. Remember, send mass email, send club email, sending emails through the club processing. These are all great ways of being able to get in contact with your customers. And just remember that the ability to really get that call of action. So if I've got this send club email, which is just, hey, log in and, blah, blah. Well, most people aren't reading, so they just gloss over that. But if I had something a little more of a call to action, and I'm sending through Club Processing Tool, and I go, hey, I'm sending it here, and I'm using this credit card, and here's your default order, then that has much more impact, and I've seen much higher return rates from that from multiple clients. So thank you very much. Have a wonderful day, and please let me know if I can help you with anything. Take care.